What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody, let's talk about Predator Badlands, as I call it, Disney's Predator, and how it did with the opening weekend. It looks like it set a record with the $40 million debut, so everybody's like, oh, that looks good, DA. Looks like Disney got the job done. Not so fast, my friends, okay? I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a successful movie. I still think it's going to be a mild flop, and I'll get to that in just a minute, but I did my out of the theater review for Predator, Badlands, Disney's Predator, and it's aight. It's aight. It's not a terrible movie, but it's also not a Predator movie. This is not Predator. Predator is a masculine action horror movie. That's what Predator was, the original, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers and Jesse the Body Ventura and all them cats. All right. That's what Predator was. And that's where Predator, in my opinion, is at its best. This is a generic sci-fi movie that they could have put in any franchise. They decided to put it into the Predator franchise. And yeah, it's not a terrible movie. It's definitely, you can watch it. But in my opinion, it doesn't do anything good for the Predator franchise. It actually kind of sets it back a little bit. Instead of taking it forward, it's like they should be doing interesting, unique things instead of just saying, oh, well, we're going to put this dude on an alien world and then we're going to give him a couple of sidekicks. That's basically what it is. Somebody described it as Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. All right. They give him a wisecracking synthoid, girl boss sidekick and a cute little alien creature, and now we got this new family, and then we're going to go forward. You can watch my out of the theater review. We also talked about it on the nightcap. Again, very kind of movie. But, I understand why people are liking it. I understand why it's doing the numbers that it's doing on a $40 million debut. It also debuted with $80 million globally. All right. So 40 and 40, half and half domestically, half internationally. All right. And then Disney topped $4 billion worldwide. Yeah. Warner Brothers did that like a month and a half ago. All right. So it's not a big deal there either. But now the question is this thing going to make any money? It always comes down to what did it cost to make the movie, all right? Predator Badlands cost a whopping $105 million. Damn! Which is absolutely astonishing when you consider that most Predator movies don't cost anywhere near this amount. Ever since Disney bought the franchise, they've been cranking up the budget. I think Prey was like 85 million, something like that. It's like, why are these movies costing this much? Again, it's just a horror franchise. Horror franchises should not be costing over $50 million to make a movie. But that's because they got all of these special effects. They got the cute baby alien creatures in it, and they got to do all of this extra stuff. So yeah, it's going to cost them $105 million. If they stuck with the simple premise of the Predator, which is, hey, it's just an action horror movie. We put a dude in a suit and we have him stalking regular people just like every other horror movie would have, probably costs around $45-50 million at best. All right. But now it's $105 million. And don't forget, you got to add the marketing amount in as well. OK, because in order to break even, you got to double whatever it is you spent on the movie, because once again, theaters and studios, they split the box office. All right. They split the box office. So right now, with this $105 million, you could generally tack on like half of the budget. Half of the budget in order to figure out what they spent on marketing. Sometimes they spend more than that, but let's just go with the half amount. They say they spent somewhere between $50 to $60 million on the marketing budget. That means that they spent a total roundabout of $160 million to make the movie and market the movie. Right now, that would mean they need $320 million to break even. They're only at $80 million. So that means they got to 4X this number. All right. They got to go 4 times 80 to get to $320 million. That's how they're going to break even. Are they going to break even? I doubt it. I doubt this thing gets to $320 million when your opening weekend worldwide is $80 million. Because 4X is very, very hard to do for most movies. Generally speaking, movies are happy if they 3X. It's like, oh shit, we made 3 times opening weekend? Hell yeah. All right. But in order to do that, yeah, they would have had to make somewhere around $120 million. And then they probably would have been safe. But this has good word of mouth. People are talking about it. But yeah, Predator Badlands, I'm not sure about it, man. I don't know how this thing is going to do overall. $80 million, that's a very inauspicious start. They needed to have a much bigger start than that. But let's go ahead and read through this Variety article and let's see what they're talking about. A Predator Badlands is this weekend's apex predator at the box office, collecting a better than expected $40 million in its domestic debut. I want to stop them right there and jump back to the original projections. These were on Box Office Pro. You can see they actually said initially that this movie would make between $35 and $45 million. It was only once we hit October and, everybody started getting spooked because it's like, damn, nobody's going to the movies in October, So then they decided to downgrade it to $20 to $30 million. But in reality, it was actually always $35 to $45 million. That's what everybody had it as. So it's kind of landing right in between that, just FYI. Those ticket sales were enough to submit a franchise record, overtaking 2004's Alien vs. Predator, $38 million, not adjusted for inflation. I think that always is important, all right? So this thing barely gets over Alien vs. Predator back in 2004, which made $38 million. Not adjusted for inflation, you're talking about a lot more butts and seats than existed back in 04, as the biggest opening weekend in the long-running property. Sci-fi series ignited with 1987's Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and extended over the years with sequels, reboots, and Alien crossover films. Badlands is reviving a moribund box office with a pileup of painful misfires in October, such as Disney's Tron Ares and A24 Smashing Machines. Revenues for the month has plunged to a 28-year low. November releases, including The Running Man, Now You See Me 3, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia, will aim to keep up the momentum. Yeah, I think that's an important part, is that they have a whole lot of movies coming in here. Running Man, Now You See Me 3, Wicked, Zootopia. These movies are absolutely competing, all right? Along with Sisu 2, which in my opinion is going to be a sleeper hit. I think Sisu 2 is going to do very well in the theaters. But yeah, I think these movies are going to get in the way of, Badlands, getting all the way up to that 4X number that we were talking about, $320 million. Because The Running Man is coming next week. That's action, that's adventure, that's going to be competing directly with Badlands, along with, Wicked for Good and Zootopia, saying, oh, we made it PG-13 for the families, It's like, all right, this PG-13 movie is now going up against other PG-13 movies or PG movies and children's movies and family movies. How's it going to do? Yeah, I don't think it's going to do that well. I'm not sure what the drop off next week will be. With the word of mouth, it's probably going to be, okay. If it's anything above 60%, it's probably not good. All right. Again, this thing has to 4X. All right, in order to get its money back before it's done. Now, the good thing about it is Disney, they tend to leave these movies in theaters to leg them out and let them get as much money as they're going to get. They don't pull them out early like DC does or Warner Brothers did with Superman, pulled the plug in 35 days. Disney's not going to do that. They're probably going to let Predator Badlands stay in all the way through the holiday season, all the way past into January. So I think it will get its opportunity, to make its money back. I just don't think it's going to happen. All right. But I mean, there's a lot of good positive word of mouth. People seem to be liking it, so we'll have to see. That as overall domestic box office returns are pacing roughly 3% ahead of 24, a gap that's been rapidly shrinking since the summer. Yeah, basically what they're saying is that the box office is dying right now. All right. The box office is absolutely dying. And with all of the stuff going on with the money issues, people not getting a SNAP benefits and everything, they got to start moving money and shifting money around. How many people are still going to be like checking for the movies, going into the box office to watch shit in theaters? It's like probably not, So I see November, even though it's getting off to a good start, and they got some good movies in here that definitely will bring boys to the yard. I have a feeling it's going to be a rough go in November. Let's see. Yeah, they said ticket sales were 25% ahead of last year. So, yeah, the summer really shook everybody up, man. AMC lost money. And then October was a dud. Ticket sales remain around 20% behind pre-pandemic times. We never getting back to pre-pandemic. Predator Badlands shows how unpredictable and dynamic the marketplace can be. All it takes is one overperformance to get the industry back on track, says ComScore's head of marketplace trends, Paul Deragabedian. This is a great lead-in for what promises to be one of the better months of November for the industry. And then they say, yeah, it was aiming for 25 to 30 million to start. Once again, that's what happened after October hit. And everybody was like, holy crap, nobody's going to the movies anymore. We better downgrade this to 25 to 35 million or 25 to 30 million. Because again, before it was sitting on 35 to 45 million from Box Office Pro. So yeah, I mean, it's doing what they expected it to do initially. That's basically all that's happening right now when it comes to Predator Badlands. So I don't know if this is going to be like this giant mega hit that Disney is hoping for, that maybe the box office is hoping for, with this, suspect start, in my opinion. I don't think it gets to that 4X number. However, positive reviews and great word of mouth, including the A- grade on CinemaScore, exit polls, helped the newest Predator crush initial expectations. Badlands also had a broader theatrical reach with its PG-13 rating. Yeah, that actually didn't matter at all. Okay, they said, oh, well, now the kids can come and watch this. All the young kids, they could come in with their families. You want to know how well this thing did with the PG-13 rating? Yeah, this is on the Deadline article, right? It says, what's interesting, though, is that going to PG-13 might not necessarily have brought in a younger audience. Badlands only pulled in 5% for the 13 to 17 demo. All right. So it's like, yeah, it says here, older males are the ones still coming out for the IP. So, look, man, trying to change the game. Oh, we're going to make it for the young kids, and we're going to add a cute little cuddly creature in it, and we're going to have a girl boss talking crazy and making jokes and all of that stuff. It's not going to necessarily play to this demographic that they're trying to pull in, all right? Only 5% for the 13 to 17 demo, which tells you everything you need to know. What Disney and all of these companies need to do is they need to actually build new franchises. The young audiences are not coming for these franchises. They're going to watch anime, all right? Which is what I keep talking about. And I got another video talking about that in just a minute. But young audiences are watching anime. They are not coming to check for what this stuff is because you're not giving them anything new. Predator came out back in 1987, all right? This is damn near a 40-year-old franchise. You're not making any waves, Disney and all of the Hollywood, pundits out there, by trying to remake, reboot, sequel, prequel, and spin off every old property that you got, all of these legacy sequels. Look, old guys like myself, we're the ones that's coming for this, all right? Older males still come out for the IP at 57 to 45. They're talking about the comparison with Predator. So look, at the end of the day, this is, in my opinion, it's going to be a flop. I don't think they hit this $320 million number, okay? I think that ultimately that $80 million, it needed to be $100 million plus. Worldwide, global, and maybe you got a shot there because even 3X is difficult, but they would have still had a chance. With 80, no chance. No chance in my opinion, but we'll find out. Anyway, what do y'all think about it, man? Are you guys out there watching Predator? I think it's just a Disney-fied version of Predator. And again, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a Predator movie at the same time. And so if you're a big Predator fan, like, you're probably not caring about this. You don't care that they decided to Disney-fy a Predator movie and say, okay, now it's about to be about the young guy and he has his found family and it's Guardians of the Galaxy and it's creatures and it's fun and it's exciting. It's like, yeah, maybe that works in Marvel, but I don't think that works for a horror franchise. Now, maybe this thing takes off, and I'm pretty sure that Dan Trachtenberg is hoping that it takes off because he has future ideas. I think they're probably going to try to loop this back in with what they're doing right now with Aliens. And, go Aliens versus Predators, like a Godzilla versus Kong type universe. I think they're going to set that up with Alien Romulus. I'm not exactly sure when this thing takes place in the timeline, but that's what my expectations are. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments, give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.